The sun was blazing down on the busy neighborhood, where the sounds of vendors calling out their daily specials mixed with the chatter of passers-by. Among the crowd, a young girl held her little brother's hand tightly, her small frame almost swallowed by the chaos around her. Her eyes darted nervously from stall to stall, scanning for something to ease the gnawing hunger in her brother's stomach. They had been walking for hours, trying to find food, but every penny she had was gone. Her little brother tugged at her sleeve, whining softly, and she could feel her own heart ache at the helplessness of the moment. She knew she had to do something, and fast. That's when she saw her. Maxine Waters, unmistakable even from a distance, was standing near a fruit stall, speaking kindly to someone, her presence commanding yet gentle. The girl froze for a second, unsure if it was even okay to approach someone so important. But the thought of her brother's empty stomach pushed her forward. Clutching her brother's hand a little tighter, she took a deep breath and stepped closer. Her small voice trembled as she spoke. "Excuse me, ma'am, could you please give my brother some milk?" A hush seemed to fall around them. Passers-by glanced over, curious at the unexpected request. Maxine turned her attention to the girl, kneeling slightly to meet her eyes. The girl's gaze was earnest, filled with desperation, yet there was something more, a raw innocence that made her plea impossible to ignore. Then, almost as if she realized the weight of her words, she added quickly, I swear to pay you when I grow up." Maxine's eyebrows lifted, surprise and admiration flickering across her face. The surrounding crowd watched, stunned by the courage of someone so small, standing bravely before someone so powerful. And just like that, the stage was set. What this little girl said next left everyone around stunned. We've introduced the emotional stakes, the girl's desperation, her brother's vulnerability, and the innocence and courage that make viewers emotionally invested right from the start. Maxine Waters blinked, taken aback by the girl's sudden plea. In all her years of public life, she had met countless people seeking help, but there was something about this small, trembling figure that immediately caught her attention. The girl's eyes were wide, pleading, yet full of determination, a combination of innocence and courage that was rare to see. She knelt down slightly to meet the girl's gaze, her presence calm but authoritative. "And what makes you think I can help you today?" Maxine asked gently, curious, but also testing the child's sincerity. The girl's lip trembled as she held her brother close. "Please, my brother is so hungry. I don't have any money, but I swear to pay you when I grow up." Her words hung in the air, heavy with honesty and hope. Maxine's surprise shifted into a deep contemplation. Should she simply give them milk and end the story there? Or should she teach the girl a small, meaningful lesson about kindness, trust, and responsibility? Around them, the crowd had started to notice. People stopped in their tracks, whispering quietly among themselves. Some shook their heads skeptically, thinking, another child asking for charity. Others looked on with admiration, impressed by the courage it took for someone so young to speak up. Maxine considered the girl's promise. There was no guarantee the promise would ever be fulfilled. Children make promises all the time. Yet the honesty in her voice made Maxine pause. Could such a small gesture change something in this girl's life? Could it be a seed of hope that might grow into a lifetime of integrity? As she weighed her options, Maxine reached for her purse, but then paused, studying the girl carefully. She wanted this to be more than just handing over milk. She wanted to make a moment that would teach the child that trust, courage, and honesty were always worth something. The girl's brother looked up at Maxine with wide, expectant eyes, clutching the girl's sleeve nervously. She had been brave enough to step forward. Now she waited, hoping that someone with power and kindness could turn her plea into action. Maxine finally smiled, her decision clear in her eyes. "You know what? I believe you," she said softly. "I'm going to help you this time, but remember, kindness and honesty are powerful. Always honor them, and you'll never be powerless, no matter what life throws at you." The girl's face lit up with relief and gratitude. She whispered a quick, heartfelt, "Thank you, ma'am," before gently hugging her brother as Maxine reached for a carton of milk. As the milk was handed over, the surrounding crowd watched, touched by the scene. Phones quietly captured the moment, a small act of generosity, a child's courageous honesty, and a powerful public figure showing compassion. Have you ever witnessed a child's courage? Comment below if this touched your heart. The stage was set for the next chapter, a lesson in hope, trust, and the ripple effect of kindness. The girl had received her milk, but the story was far from over. What would happen next? Would the girl truly keep her promise? And how would this small encounter affect everyone around them? The young girl held the carton of milk tightly, but her eyes still betrayed worry. As she took a small sip with her little brother, Maxine Waters noticed how carefully she rationed it, giving most of it to him before taking a sip herself. It was a small act of love, but it spoke volumes about the girl's character, selflessness far beyond her years. Maxine's mind wandered for a moment, thinking about her own life and the times she had seen children struggling in similar ways. She remembered the families she had met during her years in public service, children who bore responsibilities no one their age should have. She knew that in many parts of the world, hunger and poverty were daily battles, and yet, despite it all, there were moments of courage and hope that shone through even the darkest situations. The girl noticed Maxine's thoughtful expression, and, emboldened, shared a little more about her life. "My mom, she's sick. She can't work," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I have to take care of my brother. I sell little things sometimes, but it's never enough. Some days we don't even have milk or bread. I wanted him to have something to drink." Maxine knelt down to the girl's level again, her eyes softening. "You've been carrying so much responsibility for someone so young," she said gently. "It's not fair, but the way you care for your brother, that shows strength and love. Never let anyone tell you that being young means you can't make a difference." Around them, the crowd's reactions varied. Some people were moved by the girl's courage and selflessness. A few whispered, "Look at her, so brave for asking," while others remained skeptical, thinking, will she really keep her promise? Or is this just another plea for charity? A woman nearby, wiping her eyes, muttered softly, "Children like her, they remind you what matters in life." A man shook his head, grumbling, "I hope she can actually manage on her own." The mix of reactions added a subtle tension to the moment, highlighting how society often questions the credibility of those who are most vulnerable. Maxine glanced at the girl's little brother, who was shyly sipping the milk. The innocence in his eyes contrasted sharply with the harshness of the world around them. Maxine felt a surge of empathy, a desire not just to help this momentarily, but to plant a seed of hope for their future. "You see," Maxine said softly to the surrounding crowd, "even the smallest act of courage can change a life." This little girl stepped forward, not asking for fame or reward, but simply trying to care for her brother. That courage, that honesty, it's something we should all recognize and honor. The girl's gaze flicked up at Maxine, gratitude and awe shining through her tired eyes. In that moment, it wasn't just about the milk anymore. It was about being seen, being heard, and being reminded that even in hardship, kindness existed. Maxine's empathy seemed to ripple through the crowd. Some bystanders slowly nodded, touched by the girl's story. Others remained cautious, unsure whether the child's promise would ever be fulfilled. Yet the tension created a natural curiosity, a need to see what would happen next. The girl hugged her brother gently, whispering to him, "See, things can get better. We just have to keep trying." Maxine smiled, watching this small but powerful display of determination. The stage was now set for the next chapter, where courage, empathy, and public attention would collide. The girl had shown her honesty and strength. Maxine had demonstrated kindness and reflection, and the crowd had been drawn in, caught between skepticism and awe. Questions lingered. Would the girl keep her promise? Would this encounter leave a lasting impact on everyone who witnessed it? The tension was subtle but palpable, keeping viewers invested in the unfolding story. Maxine Waters studied the girl and her little brother, their small hands clutching each other for comfort. The scene was simple, yet heavy with meaning. A child's courage meeting a powerful figure's compassion. After a long pause, Maxine finally smiled gently. "You know what?" she said, her voice warm but confident. "I believe in keeping promises and showing kindness. Today, I'm going to help you and your brother." The girl's eyes widened, a mixture of relief and disbelief flashing across her face. She could hardly believe what she was hearing. Her trembling lips curved into a shaky smile. "Really?" she whispered. Maxine nodded. "Really? Let's get you that milk." She reached into her purse and handed the clerk at a nearby stall a few bills. The milk was bought, cold, fresh, and wholesome. The girl held the carton as if it were a treasure, turning it carefully in her hands to make sure her brother got the first sip. She looked up at Maxine with sparkling eyes, and her voice, though small, rang with heartfelt sincerity. I swear to pay you when I grow up." "I promise, ma'am." The crowd around them murmured quietly, some moved by the girl's honesty, others skeptical. Yet Maxine's smile never wavered. She knelt again, meeting the girl's eyes directly. "I trust you," she said. "Remember, it's not just about paying me back someday. It's about the integrity and courage you've shown today. Those are things no one can ever take away from you." The little girl hugged her brother tightly, tears of joy forming at the corners of her eyes. Thank you so much," she said, her voice breaking with emotion. Her brother shyly clung to her, drinking in the moment, and the milk she had so courageously secured for him. Maxine watched quietly, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. This wasn't about charity alone. It was about hope. A simple act of kindness could create a ripple effect, teaching a child that honesty, courage, and integrity mattered. The crowd began to respond. A few bystanders nodded approvingly, whispering to each other, "See that? Even the smallest gestures can make a difference." Others were still unsure, thinking, will she really keep that promise someday? The suspense hung in the air, unspoken but powerful. Maxine gently patted the girl's shoulder. "Go on now," she said softly. "Take care of your brother, and remember the lesson from today. You've already shown you're capable of great courage and kindness. That will take you far." The girl's smile widened, a mix of pride and gratitude. "I won't forget, ma'am. I swear I'll make sure to pay you back when I grow up." Even as the girl and her brother walked away, holding the milk carefully, Maxine felt the weight of the moment. It was a reminder that sometimes small decisions could have the greatest impact. The suspense lingered in the minds of the crowd. Would this young girl keep her promise? Would she grow into the strong, honest person she aspired to be? The stage was now perfectly set for the next chapter, the emotional payoff and the crowd's reaction. The girl had received her milk, Maxine had shown compassion and wisdom, and the audience had been left wondering about the promise and the future that lay ahead. As the girl and her little brother walked away with the milk, the small crowd that had gathered began to stir with quiet murmurs. People whispered among themselves, some shaking their heads in disbelief, others nodding appreciatively. Maxine Waters remained where she stood, her presence commanding yet calm, observing the reactions of those around her. "This is really something," a woman muttered, her voice tinged with emotion. "She's so young, and yet she's honest enough to make a promise like that." A man nearby, arms crossed, frowned slightly. "Do you really think she'll keep it? Kids make promises all the time." His skepticism hung in the air, adding a subtle tension to the scene. Maxine, noticing the mix of admiration and doubt, chose this moment to speak. "Honesty and courage are not measured by age," she said softly but firmly. "It doesn't matter how small or young you are. What matters is that you try and that you honor your word." That little girl just showed all of us something we often forget, that integrity begins with action, no matter how modest it seems. The crowd fell silent, absorbing her words. Phones were raised discreetly, capturing the scene. The sincerity in Maxine's tone, combined with the girl's courage, left a mark on everyone watching. Some faces softened with understanding, while others seemed almost guilty, realizing how easy it is to overlook the small acts of bravery around them. Meanwhile, the girl's little brother peeked from behind her, holding the milk with care. He glanced up at her, his eyes wide with trust, and she whispered, "We have to remember this. One day I'll pay her back." The crowd watched this small exchange and couldn't help but be moved. One bystander commented quietly to a friend, "That promise, there's something powerful about it. She's showing honesty in a way we all can learn from." Maxine took a step forward, raising her voice just enough for those around to hear. Moments like these remind us that even the simplest acts, sharing a little milk, keeping a promise, being courageous, have ripple effects far beyond what we can see. This girl isn't just receiving help. She's teaching all of us about honesty, responsibility, and compassion. The murmurs of agreement spread through the crowd. Some skeptical faces softened, their doubts replaced with admiration. Others, still cautious, seemed to question whether the girl's promise would truly be fulfilled. But in that moment, everyone could sense the impact of the small yet meaningful act they had just witnessed. Maxine smiled, turning her attention back to the girl and her brother as they disappeared into the distance. The lesson had been made clear: kindness matters, honesty matters, and courage matters. Each small act could inspire others and create a chain of goodness that no one could ignore. The public reaction lingered in the air, a mixture of awe, hope, and curiosity. People whispered about the girl's bravery, about Maxine's empathy, and about how such a simple encounter could leave such a lasting impression. For some, it was a reminder to be kinder. For others, it was an example of the power of integrity. The stage was now set for the next chapter, the emotional reflection and moral lesson that would solidify the story's impact. The audience had witnessed honesty, courage, and kindness collide in a single moment, and they were eager to see how the girl's promise would shape her future. Maxine Waters watched the girl and her little brother disappear into the distance, holding the carton of milk like a small treasure. She let out a soft breath, her mind reflecting on what had just occurred. In her years of public life, she had seen countless appeals for help, yet this simple encounter reminded her of something she often had to remind herself: that small acts of kindness could ripple far beyond what anyone imagined. A child's honesty, a moment of courage, a simple gesture. These things were more powerful than wealth or fame. Maxine thought of the countless people she had met over the years, the individuals who had been overlooked or dismissed because of their circumstances. Sometimes, all it took was a small act of acknowledgement, a single helping hand, to restore hope and ignite determination. She smiled quietly to herself, feeling a sense of fulfillment. The little girl's bravery and honesty had created a moment that not only helped her brother in that instant, but also touched everyone who witnessed it. Maxine understood that her role wasn't just to give milk, but to model empathy, to show that kindness and integrity mattered, and that even the youngest among us could inspire change. Meanwhile, the girl walked steadily, her brother's hand in hers. Each step seemed lighter than before, buoyed by the knowledge that someone had believed in her. She glanced at the milk in her hands and whispered softly to her brother, "See, things can get better. One day I'll pay her back, I promise." Her voice, small yet determined, carried the weight of conviction and hope. The little brother smiled shyly, trusting his sister completely. The girl's resolve was clear. This encounter had left a lasting impression on her. It wasn't just about receiving help. It was about learning a lesson she would carry for life. Integrity, honesty, and courage had been rewarded, and she intended to honor that lesson when she grew older. Around them, the crowd remained, still murmuring quietly about the scene they had just witnessed. Some whispered about the girl's bravery, some about Maxine's kindness. Cameras had captured fleeting expressions of awe and admiration, the smiles, the quiet nods, the subtle gestures of respect. Each small visual added to the heartwarming energy of the moment, showing that even in a brief encounter, lives could be touched profoundly. Maxine's gaze lingered on the girl one last time, a sense of hope and inspiration washing over her. She knew that this was more than just an isolated act. It was a reminder that every small choice we make, Every moment of empathy or courage could create change that extended far beyond that instant. For the viewers watching, the message was clear. Even the smallest acts of kindness could spark hope, foster courage, and inspire integrity. The girl's determination to fulfill her promise, Maxine's willingness to help, and the crowd's quiet acknowledgement all combined into a simple yet powerful story about humanity, honesty, and the ripple effect of goodness. Close-up of the girl sipping milk with a shy smile, her brother beside her, Maxine smiling warmly, the crowd's reactions, hands clapping softly, some people nodding appreciatively. The final scene lingers on the girl walking into the sunlight, determined and hopeful. Within hours, the scene of the young girl and her little brother receiving milk from Maxine Waters began to spread online. A bystander's video had captured the heartfelt exchange, the girl's trembling plea, her earnest promise, and Maxine's warm, encouraging response. Social media lit up with shares, comments, and reactions. People were inspired, moved, and even amazed by the simple yet powerful moment. Such honesty at that age, wow, one comment read. Another viewer wrote, Maxine's kindness shows what true leadership is. The video quickly gained traction, with thousands engaging in discussions about empathy, courage, and the impact of small acts of goodness. Even news outlets picked up the story, celebrating the girl's bravery and Maxine's compassionate response. For many viewers, the story became a reminder that small gestures could have profound effects. The girl's simple honesty, paired with Maxine's willingness to help, created a chain reaction, inspiring others to reflect on how they could make a difference in their own communities. People began sharing similar stories from their own lives, acts of kindness, moments of trust, and the courage to do the right thing, no matter how small. Meanwhile, the little girl and her brother returned home, still clutching the milk carton. She whispered to her brother, "We have to remember this. One day, I'll pay her back just like I promised." In that moment, she wasn't just a child receiving help. She had become a symbol of honesty, determination, and hope. Her promise carried weight, and viewers at home couldn't help but be inspired by her resolve. Maxine Waters reflected on the encounter as well. She knew this wasn't just about helping one child. It was about showing the world that empathy, integrity, and kindness could create ripple effects that extend far beyond a single moment. By taking a few minutes to listen and help, she had set an example for millions. That leadership is not only about power or influence, but also about compassion and humanity. The story resonated globally, reminding people of a universal truth. Acts of kindness, trust, and empathy can change lives. One small act, buying milk for a hungry child, had inspired thousands, showing that even the simplest gestures matter. The video's comments were filled with messages of encouragement, gratitude, and hope. People from all walks of life praised the girl's bravery, Maxine's generosity, and the power of small, meaningful acts. If this story touched your heart, type kindness in the comments and subscribe. For more inspiring stories like this one, the viral impact was undeniable. From social media shares to news coverage, the story had captured the hearts of millions. Viewers weren't just watching, they were reflecting, inspired to act, and reminded that the world could be a better place if we all chose empathy and honesty in our daily lives. As the video concluded, the audience was left with warmth and inspiration, a perfect emotional payoff. The girl's promise, Maxine's guidance, and the crowd's reaction all came together to create a story that viewers would remember, share, and talk about long after the video ended.